I put on the SPF like 70 and just keep on it. No, I had a mild tan, but it's already started to dissipate. But I don't spend a lot of time like lying in the sun. I'm more of a I find a shady spot and chill. If I'm in the sun, it's usually I'm walking up and down the beach. That's like my favorite thing to do is I just pace down the beach and back,
Plotting.
plotting, thinking about life,
Throwing stones occasionally as music plays.
staring out into the vastness of the ocean, just thinking about insignificance and all
That's
that
right.
stuff. So,
What does it all mean?
what does it all mean? And I just look at the ocean just whispers back, nothing.
Oh, the adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a like 17-month-old. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. It's that weird like I'm like almost at 1.5. Getting there.
Yeah, it's a suffrage right there. I went through it.
Yeah.
Close. And I'm Jeff. I have an almost 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Jeez, 4-year-old. It's nuts. Yeah. He's basically a person now.
Oh yeah, he's a little person. He has his own thoughts, feelings, wants, needs, demands.
And what is that even like? It's gonna be a hard question to ask about. Like, man, I think about that all the time. Like, I'm really anxious and excited to talk to my son because I've had a conversation. You can't have a conversation with him, man. I don't know what he's like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so anxious to talk to him. What's that like? If you can try to like juxtapose him as a 1-year-old and now him as a 4-year-old, like, what's it like to talk to him? Is it?
Well, it's totally like it's a totally different experience, right? You'll get glimpses of what the behavior was like, but that's about it. Like you'll get, the mannerisms and maybe the temper tantrums that come by in conversation. But other than that, they're kind of like their own person that wakes up, if that makes sense. Because kind of like they're interested and they can do more things, and they get with my youngest, he is interested in the older things to do with his brother. So yeah, no, it's a hard thing to explain, but yeah, you can definitely talk to them and kind of figure them out. But they're different than when they were younger. My youngest, when he was a baby, he was crying all the time. He had stomach issues that we found out later, nonstop, like screaming in your ear. So he's not that now. So it's great. I can actually talk to him.
That's a great. Did any one particular thing take you by surprise? Like he started to vocalize something, you're like, I can't believe you're like that, or
more art. What he does, he's really into art, which is crazy because he really wasn't like that when he was younger. He wasn't into anything remotely like hands-on. But my oldest son, who's 6, almost 7, he was the builder, so I could totally tell that as a baby. He was building stuff. He's into Lego now. He can do 12-year-old Lego stuff, not a problem. Like he'll build anything, but not into art. He doesn't like to draw. He doesn't like to paint. And my youngest, totally into that. So it's just, that was a surprise for me. So I don't know. It can be a different, you'll see when they're probably like 2.5, I think is, you can really...
Gavin, are you finding some impatience with wanting to speak with your daughter?
No, because they're actually we're finding methods to communicate. Like there's no real word forming stuff going on right now, but like we'll ask her questions sometimes and she will respond like she's actually starting to go like yeah as like a positive sort of like a yay or nay.
Yeah.
But also too, like if we'll ask, like she'll come over and sort of fuss and they'll be like, do you need a fresh bum? And she'll like grab us by the hand and take us to the change table. And it's like, oh, so you do. So it's like she is finding ways to communicate to us that there are certain things that she wants or needs, like a sippy cup or a TV ring. And like sometimes she'll like lead us to the place that she wants the thing from, because she knows where they are. Like if I ask her, do you want a TV? Like she goes to the fridge because she knows that we keep them in the freezer. Or if like you want a sippy, like she goes to the part in the kitchen where she knows the cups are. So she's communicating by way of sort of like pantomime, I guess. So we're starting to get a little bit of like ping back in regards to uh, having an understanding of her wants and needs. I think that's a big thing with the communication because like before they can do that, like it's just a guessing game. Like you're kind of like, okay, they're crying. Let's go through the checklist. Where now it's a little bit better, a little bit easier to sort of get that bounce back as far as like, okay, is it this or is it this? And now it's you can sort of ask them and they'll kind of so that's sort of what I'm getting. But I am looking forward to her just straight up giving me words and dialogue, and I'm more less impatient and just more excited for when she does start to talk because then there's cool stuff that we get to do.
Yeah,
Because
it's probably the
yeah.
It's probably the better word to use. I think the it's interesting you're getting the positives because for us it's mostly negatives. We've nicknamed him since Mr. No because because he'll tell us when he soiled himself, so and he'll call it popo. So like you know what's happened, and that's great. It's like okay, let's go change. No, 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 no. He waves his hands. It just keeps saying no and like backs away from you. You're like, come on. It's like let's be clear, baby. I don't want to do this either.
Yeah,
so that's funny. That's hilarious.
if you want to go ahead and figure out how to go to the washroom by yourself, I'd be real happy. But otherwise, we got to do this. Let's dance. Let's make this happen. But yeah, so if he doesn't want it, or if he's changing, or you're trying to put him to bed and he doesn't want it, it's just that back up and no, 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 no. It's always the hand wave too, which is just like actually, yeah, it's not even a hand wave. It's like one finger. It's like no, no, no. Oh, it's fortunate. It's so funny. But gentlemen, let's before we get into the main topic of the week, would love to hear what your week has been like with. Well, I guess we've kind of covered parenting a bit, but yeah, how's your week been with fatherhood and gaming?
I'll go first because I'll just go first. Week's been good. We went on vacation to Mexico, which was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. Traveling with the toddler is an adventure and a half. But we had a great time. She played in the sand and the surf, splashed around, and we got some good quality family time. During naps, my wife and I got to take turns having just good quality relax on the beach time. And yeah, all in all, it was a lot of fun. She made some friends on the beach, like other little girls that she'd run over and play with and stuff. And this other little boy from like Calgary, another little girl from I think Korea, and yeah, it was quite a mix of friends. Like the other two girls that she was playing with are like their parents are like Hungarian and Romanian, and they live in Detroit. So that was a very international family. Yeah, no, it was a really fun trip. So as far as the gaming front goes, obviously not a lot of that. But since we also haven't really been chatting for quite some time, this being the first podcast in a little while, I did finish Mafia 3. Thoroughly enjoyed the story. Played through all three endings. And but like not like basically just you do an ending and it puts you right back to the choice point. So it was pretty easy to go through. It was just basically I played all three cutscenes and then decided what one I wanted to choose as far as permanent. And I'm like, I like that one. That one makes the most sense to me. But no, it was good narrative, but the game itself had a few glaring issues, mechanics and bug wise. But overall, though, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I had a good time with it. Might not jump back into it anytime soon, but I definitely had fun, especially unraveling the story. And I just started sinking my teeth into Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. So so far, that's been feeling pretty good. There's a couple control things where I wish they'd let me just individual remap a couple things because I'm like, I wish just this one and this one I could swap them, just trade them in for one another. But instead, it's all just control schemes. So you have like one of 4 or 5 to choose from, rather than like being able to remap individual inputs. Where it's like, so I'm not sure, like somebody who has particular needs in regards to accessibility, they might have a hard time with it in the sense of like, well, you don't have the option to completely customize. You just pick some presets, and if one of those 4 presets don't meet your needs with accessibility, you're done. So it's like you're
Enjoy
kind of That's it. Like you're kind of stuck with what you can find. Like you find the best scenario and that's it. So I kind of hope that maybe in an update, it's like just let me map some stuff. Come on, just let me. Please just let me have the sprint beyond the L3, please, because that's
Oh, that's
mechanic. It's like
gross. Yeah.
yeah, it's like sprint is triangle and cover is L3, and I'm like, why can't I
Ooh.
switch? I just want
Oh,
to switch
ouch.
those because like when you panic,
Oh,
you
that's
press
like,
down. Yeah, and I'm like,
what a
why would
weird
I hit
choice.
triangle? It's a and I wish I could just switch it around, but they won't let me do it. And then like the scheme, the control scheme where like uh, L3 is sprint, all the other button mapping is less ideal. Like I like everything about their button mapping except for sprint and cover. And I just want those to switch because I think I don't know, running and directionality should be on the same input, and cover can be a face button, as it is in a lot of other games. And I get trying to do something new. I appreciate innovation, but then there's also something to be said about muscle memory and conventions, and it's finding a balance between those two. And I think, unfortunately, in this case, it's just I don't know. Maybe I can relearn, but I don't want to because I don't want to have to. Honestly, I don't want to have to go back into
Gotta,
like
got all these
Uncharted.
sweet
And
calluses that I've rebuilt those.
Yeah.
I have honed these muscles and fine-tuned them. So yeah, but anyways, overall though the game is enjoyable. They did do a lot of stuff with like the HUD and UI that you can customize like the HUD and what's available, what's not. So if you want to sort of minimalize how much information's up there, you can, which I really appreciate. Sort of tone down the clutter and the busyness. Um, and then yeah, the storyline is so far it's quite interesting. They did a good thing at the beginning of the game where there's a 12-minute video that recaps the events of the previous game, so it gets you up to speed. So that way you understand why.
12 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, quite the
It's
commitment.
yeah, but it's actually because I beat the previous game, but even then it was so long ago I forgot what transpired. So to have that little refresher about everything that went down, it really does give a good explanation as to why the world is reacting the way it is, why things are happening, and why things are going down. It's like, yeah, I need that like previously on Lost. Like I need that thing
It should.
just to get my head back in the game. So although it was 12 minutes long, it blew by pretty quick. It was well edited, so it felt like uh, like a pretty smooth piece of footage. So by the time it was all done, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, you crammed an entire like 20-hour play session of information into 12 minutes. So that's a lot of information digestion, and they pulled it off. So I appreciated that for the sense of like just narrative structure and understanding why people are doing what they're doing. So yeah, and that's about it. Travel with a baby, played some games.
Jeff, yourself.
My week's been going okay in terms of fatherhood. I guess my wife and I are fighting off a cold, so we're waiting for that to make its rounds to the kids and then back again. So stay tuned.
6 or 7 times through.
Yeah. So other than that, the kids are just running around testing our patience a bit, as we're kind of half power here, trying to get through the days. In terms of gaming, though, my oldest son and I are racing for the best farm in Stardew Valley. I'm winning, but I am totally immersed.
So no gimmies, no help, no handicapped for
Well, I
newer
showed them the
players.
basics. I showed them the basics, and I'm like, "This is yours
Not
now.
a handicap.
You're on your own. You manage it."
This household, we don't pull favorites here, son.
No, yeah. You want to go out and go buy some more food instead of watering your crops? You do that. See where that gets you.
Yeah.
No, but it's,
I love too that generally too you control his game time and his bedtime.
yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
if you ever did get ahead, you're just gonna totally juice it.
Destroying him now. But
Have a bed. Oh, I think you've had enough video games for today.
yeah, you're getting too far ahead. But no, it's a great game. It's basically Harvest Moon if you haven't heard of it. Kind of a pixel art game. I did buy it on Steam when it was on sale, but then that really wasn't working on it, so I bought it on PS4 because it's on there. So it's a great little game for him to learn because he loves math. And to buy certain fruits and vegetables, he has to have enough money, and then you have to plant them, water them, that responsibility of going around, meeting people, coming back, going to sleep. There's really no consequence beyond just kind of wasting your energy and passing out and then waking up the next day and losing a little bit of money, but there's no death in it or anything. So he can kind of run around, do his own thing and learn from it. So it's a good learning experience for him, I think, just to kind of get more control on those kind of mechanics. He's used to platformers, which is kind of like a very side-scrolling type thing. So this is almost not 3D, but like an overview of a map kind of thing. So he can navigate that. And as I said, I'm having a blast with it. And it's hard to stop. It's one of those games where you're like, just one more day. And the only way to save in the game is to sleep. So you have to complete the day. So that kind of pushes you to the end. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, well, what's hatched? What can I harvest? What can I go? And it's kind of sunny out. Maybe I'll go to the mines and get some rocks and stuff. And by then it's midnight and you're like, well, I shouldn't have done that. And then you wake up sick. So no, it's a great game. I highly recommend it. And again, all made by one guy who did all the art, all the music, all the development, and now he's got help porting it. So it's a good $15 kind of thing. So that was my week.
Nice.
Well, I love that you're patient zero because you neglected your own surroundings because you're too busy in this virtual farm.
Exactly.
This chore simulator.
Live my life in there. Thanks.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, for myself, as I mentioned, I guess it's kind of in pre-roll, but generally things have been doing great with the family. The son's definitely pushing back a whole bunch. Generally speaking, he has two jobs, which is to eat and to sleep.
Yeah.
And he's awful at both of his jobs. Like just piss poor at the two things he's supposed to do. So we're getting a lot of pushback recently on eating, which is for a parent that's just the most infuriating, worrying thing. Because he's got to eat to live. Please eat food. But generally still like happy, healthy, still running around. So he's getting it from somewhere. And he's starting to reject naps as well.
Yeah.
Which is sad because those times you come to rely on that hour or two in the afternoon very heavily, and to see it start to go is
it should last for a while though. They still do it in like preschool, so 3. You should get
I think it's not a full rejection, but there's just been enough times when he's like really pushed against it, or it's just like it's so hard to get it to happen. So still doing great though. Game wise, I bought Enter the Gungeon.
Oh yeah,
which is a isometric. It's like an isometric pixel version of Borderlands in some ways, and it's more of a roguelike than the Borderlands ever was, and it's so clever. It's such a blast. It is a fantastic, fun game. Great dad one too, because there's really not much common outcomes for one particular playthrough. Like you just kind of jump in, you play, you try to get through it. There's some leveling and some progression, but not much. So you get in, you die, or you just have to quit out. There's not much of a recourse for it. But just like so much cleverness and beautiful design in the pixel work that they've done. Like it's clever, it's fun. The guns are hilarious, much like Borderlands. So I just loving it, just having a great time. And otherwise, started back in Street Fighter.
Oh my god, it continues.
It goes back. I don't know. I dropped it for so long.
Lost. Like he needs to go back and experience, and
it's just like I don't know what it's just. I think I ran across a couple of videos and there was all this bit of an uproar because it's a new season. They released a bunch and then they did a bunch of patches which threw the community into a bit of a furor about it. They made some buffs, like so some characters are just way too strong. They introduced new characters, and just seeing all of it and then seeing some replays from some tournaments, just like, man, I want to.
Oh, that looks fun. Let me go try.
You're that friend in the group who always like goes and starts dating that girl that keeps breaking his heart. And like all your friends are like, why are you?
Don't go back.
Don't. Like, do you not remember last time? Like you cried for a week into a tub of Haagen-Dazs. Like just like.
I would almost think the girlfriend analogy would be healthier than Street Fighter, honestly.
It is actually a lot healthier than the Street Fighter thing. I'm trying to, I don't know, sugarcoat it for you, but yeah, no.
Yeah. But enjoy it. So it's especially for it's not super dad friendly, because if you're in an online match, if you're going through that, you can't leave. Like, you got to stay, you got to finish it, because if you quit, there's huge problems with it. Well, they tend to be really short, so it's not a huge deal. Still, there's like all the training of it and all the progression that you're trying to do otherwise, and that tends to be just, you're in there, you're practicing. I find it, I'm starting to find it a bit zen, actually, as far as trying to learn those moves and get a little bit better at it. And coming back to it, it's like, it feels a bit more familiar because I had done all that practice before on it. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I have some quiet ambitions about still rising up.
No.
In the rank. I'm not talking. They have like, it's like you're nothing, and then it's bronze, silver, gold. Blah, blah. If in my life I got to perhaps silver, I think that would be like okay. That's
then you give it up. That's it. You bury it out back.
Yeah, the only other secret one I would have is, honestly, if I ever made it out to a real life tournament, just to lose. I don't care about win. Just to maybe win one match at a real life tournament. That would be fantastic. But we'll see.
I want to be a contender.
I want to do just one. I could have done it.
The wizard.
Contender.
So what was interesting, if you'd watched the news, is that there is a version of Street Fighter 2 that is going to be solely released on a new console coming out called the Nintendo Switch.
The what?
The Switch, if you will.
Now, this is Nintendo, you said? Nintendo?
Nintendo? What is that? Is that a German company?
Still exist?
Aw, poor guys. Wii U.
Oh God.
But yeah, so the relatively old news, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Now, I've come to understand that neither of you are excited for this console. Is that correct?
What?
I'm like a wait and see kind of stance on it. Like, the portability factor of it has no bearing on me at all. Like, if I'm playing
Mexico, you could have brought it to Mexico. It would have been great.
I can play the Switch at home. I can't play in the sand at home. Like, you go to Mexico to do stuff you can't do at home. That's why.
That's where you and I differ.
Like, I have one game on my phone and I haven't played it in months. Like, I'm not a portable game sort of person. Like, I like to sit down, I pour myself a nice drink, I put my feet up and I relax. I like my little quiet place to do my gaming. I've never really, even like back when I was a kid, like I never really wanted a Game Boy or anything like that. 'Cause I'm like, no, if I'm outside, I'm riding my bike. I don't want to be on that thing. Like, I'll go home and then I'll play a few hours of Mario. Like, I always like that separation. Like, if I'm like, when I saw the Nintendo Switch trailer when it first got announced, and I saw some guy, like, his dog's like, hey, can you take me outside and like build a lasting relationship with me? And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And he just like lets the dog go and run off like he's playing his game. And I'm like, dude, like, you're missing an opportunity to build a bond. Or it's like, hey, come to our rooftop party, because like that only happens like once in a lifetime. Yeah, but I'm gonna bring my toy with me. It's like, come on. Like, that's the stuff about it that doesn't really appeal to me. That said, if there's a component to it that is like, if the living room version of it provides a nice experience, I'm all ears. But right now, most of what I've been seeing, most of what they've been talking about is a portability factor, um, and like some other components of it that like the motion control and stuff like that, which I think is cool. Like that ARMS game looks neat. Uh, but at the end of the day, like, it's about the titles that will be available on it. Like, you can have something really interesting, but like, if there's nothing for it, then what are you gonna do? Yeah, so yeah, myself, but I'm also not like a big person to hop on hype train. Like, it's the same with the VR. It's like, I'll wait and see. And if I have access to one, I'll try it out, I guess. But I've never been someone who's like, I gotta get in line day one. I need it. Like, even my PS4, I bought that. Like, it was already a year uh, into its lifespan before I even hopped on board. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll wait and see. If it turns out to be something I'll get, great. If not, hope somebody likes it. That'd be great.
Well, my thoughts, I would say Nintendo's kind of going through like a weird identity crisis. Like before
That
the
went
Wii,
deep.
the Wii when that was a genius console just because it introduced something new. It was cheap. I think the launch price was like 250 and
Yeah.
it could be a second console, right? So the people that had the PlayStations and the Xboxes could like it was cheap enough to buy a Wii. And it was bundled with a game that taught you the mechanics of the new controllers, right? In a roundabout way. It made it fun, and little did people know they were learning the controls of the Wii. So then you come into the Switch, it's $399 in Canada, which now PS4 and Xbox is $100 cheaper almost. It doesn't come with a game. It has a portability function that the PS4 and Xbox already do, technically. They can remote into either a phone or the Vita or a tablet. The only thing it has really going for it that would pique my interest are the games. So like the Mario's, the Zeldas, Splatoon, I'm not so sure about. But they're launching with like very little games, and that was the problem with the Wii U, is they had no support after like the first year, and it lasted what, 4 or 5 years, and then they were out.
Yeah.
So I think that's another worry. They should have come with their best games like right off the bat saying this is not going to happen. We got Metroid, we got Mario, we got Pokemon, we got whatever, and just like kill people with games.
And not only
Um,
their games, but they need the third-party support as
Third
well.
party, yeah.
Because like you're hearing things like Randy Pitchford from Gearbox saying that like they had discussions with the Switch, like with Nintendo about Borderlands 3, and like those negotiations fell apart. Um, so it's like when you hear of like third-party studios that are actively talking with Nintendo about trying to get their content with that console, and those discussions are falling apart and crumbling. You don't know like, well, is this which side of the negotiating table is causing
Mhm.
these fallouts? So yeah, it's you could have the most interesting hardware on the planet, but if you don't have anything in regards to software to make that hardware enjoyable, then like you're kind of just got a really really nice decorative element on your mantelpiece. That's about it. Like,
Like I'm pulling for them. I don't want them to fail,
yeah,
but
I hope they do well. Like,
now they're
but
charging
like,
for online and stuff. Like
yeah,
you're up another $100 just to get this console playable, like out of the box. And that's not for
yeah,
my son. That's not the target anymore. It's probably
no,
for me.
yeah.
And I'm not so sure that I'm their target anymore either.
Just
Like as a
most curious
launch.
with you, just around with like even with your boys, I thought that some of the portability helped, like grabbing the two side controllers, snapping those off, bringing the thing into the car, like kind of just hanging it on the back seat and having your boys being able to play it. Or if you did go to some other place like that, kind of mobile entertainment version of it for the kids. I suppose I'd more seen it from your angle on that that'd be some appeal to it.
When you have two, they fight over everything. So it'd be me turning around, trying to
Yeah.
separate them, right? So
Like let me tell you how two works. Okay.
I almost think that like my oldest son has a 3DS, he'd have his 3DS playing, and then I would get another maybe 2DS for my other son eventually.
Yeah.
I couldn't see them trying to play together on one console with peaceful intentions at all. Even if they kept the controllers from flying across in the middle of the car, it's
And that's
just
actually
it's
a really
not
good
working.
point too about like the DS and the 3DS and how like the portability factor of that device was quite brilliant because it was very pocket friendly. Where
Mhm.
like the Switch, nobody has pockets that big. Nobody's had pockets that big since the 90s. So that sort of like yes, it's portable in the sense of you can take it out of your living room and it doesn't weigh 10 pounds, but it's not conveniently portable. Where like the DS and even the Vita, um, they had a portability factor that was a little bit more. Oh,
Uh-oh, waking up.
we'll see. Are we good?
But to your point, I think they missed a console cycle. I think if this happened instead of the Wii U, more people might be on board. Just because none of the mobile game had Like now they're into the mobile market. 3DS has kind of solidified itself. Like what happens to the 3DS after this? Do people just, does it stop? Does it continue? Is it crossplay? I don't know. It's confusing.
I guess I'm hopeful for it because, like, as you mentioned, like with the when the Wii came out, like that was just so refreshing and fantastic and fun. Like it was a fun system amongst a very heavy time.
Yeah,
for like everyone else has extreme games like Hard X, Drinking Monster, like gaming, and Wii's like, woo, this is fun. And it was, yeah, that was the comparison, right?
Yeah.
And then you get into and then the Wii U felt like it was trying too hard, like felt like it was trying so hard.
Yeah.
And like and right away when you looked at the Wii, you said to yourself, "Oh, that looks really fun." You got the controllers and you played. It looked neat, interesting. Everybody wanted to try it.
Yeah.
Wii U, I think you looked at it and you said to yourself that looks stupid. Like
it looked like a ripoff, like a junky ripoff,
weird.
Right? Like why would you have this huge thing that?
And I can even like you can remember back to the coverage. Like when the Wii came out, there was that positivity around it. When the Wii U came out, it was like, what are you thinking? Like, what is the problem? And now this one, of course, like people are being tepid, but at least it feels like there is this, without going overly casual or overly hardcore, like there's this mechanic to it that could actually serve somewhat, which could be an interesting purpose. And I can speak personally as far as like I tend to be quite mobile with work and everything else. Like I travel a lot and go to various places and people's houses, and it just seems like something that would actually be very interesting to be able to like just off you go. Especially the plane thing was like the thought of plane, like having that full-on experience on a plane would be fantastic if I can get over my phobia of playing games in public. But
next episode we
well, just I don't know. It's you're in a suit and like you're going off to business meetings and you're pulling out like Mario and like it's just like, but whatever. You gotta get past it. But that portability, like to me, still just seems to speak. My problem would be more that like now that I had just gotten into PlayStation and also with like I had got into the VR. The thought of plunking down another big chunk of cash for something. Like I am out for a while. Like I can't possibly want to spend more on consoles.
That's the factor too. Is it's like is the thing that it does uniquely worth the extra investment? Like when the Wii came out, there was nothing else like it, and the thing that made it unique was very fun, very enjoyable, and it had that same allure as VR is having right now, where there's no hardware out there like it. And it even had it more so because there was absolutely nothing like the Wii when it came out. It was just the only game in town when it came to motion control.
Mm-hmm.
A few years later, everybody else tried to catch up and didn't really do it. I think, and like as you mentioned too, the fun factor, and also the worry-free factor about it. Because it wasn't a very expensive console, people weren't as hesitant to make that investment. And it had that allure factor. So it's like, it's inviting and it was economical. Where here, because there's so much confusion about, well, what exactly is it? Like, what exactly does it do? Like, is it a home console? Is it a portable unit? What will it provide me in regards to entertainment that these other things aren't already providing me? And will there be concessions made because of certain aspects about it? Like the portability factor, is it going to create some issues with graphical fidelity because you can't have dedicated video in the same manner as other, because you have to compress the size of it hardware wise. There's just so many unknowns about it that it's hard to have that enthusiasm, because you can't be enthusiastic about a mystery box. Maybe on The Price is Right, but that's about it.
But like, where is there, like with the Wii, it was very kid friendly. Like you could whip those controllers, and they, people whipped them at TV screens, and they came out with wristbands after that. But you could step on those things, and it would not destroy, not crush. It was crush proof. The console itself was pretty much drop proof. This thing is a screen.
Truck it was like Tonka truck durability.
Yeah.
And like this thing just it feels like something where if your toddler reached for it, you'd have a panic attack because one, it's really expensive to replace, and two, it doesn't look like it could take a flight of stairs. And
it should be the test that we should do.
yeah, like, and that's the thing is like as soon as something becomes portable and your past base market has been kids, like that thing better be able to take a beating. You know, like the Wiimotes when they first came out, like every single time it was Wiimote versus television set, the Wiimote won.
Yeah.
Every time.
Single time. So, like they made those things so hardy, and they could take just brutal force. And like unless the Switch has the same sort of durability as like a leapfrog tablet, where it's like it could get thrown off a balcony into a bathtub and it's fine. Unless it has that sort of durability that we're just not seeing because we don't understand that it's made out of like, you know, unobtainium. I just yeah, I don't. That's my hesitation too, and like not even in the sense of like my kid playing with it, but just me. It's like I'm gonna put a bunch of money into something I'm gonna chuck into a bag. Like I want to make sure it's gonna survive. Like I get freaked out enough about our camera, and it's not even that special of a camera. So I don't know. Portable electronics always are concerning because so much can go wrong. And that's a lot of money to, you know, put into something like that.
Man, Breath of the Wild though. Man,
it looks
Breath
awesome.
Of the Wild.
It looks great.
Oh yeah,
It looks so good.
It does. It looks, but it's like that becomes a very expensive Zelda game if that's the only game you're going for.
$400 Zelda game, and nothing else. This is my Zelda machine.
Yeah, until what? Winter? Until you get Mario, and then you're like, yay.
Yeah, and that's the point too. Is like, okay, so many people bought the Wii U and didn't play anything but Wii Sports. But that game itself, like, if somebody spent that much on like a foosball table for their basement, it would still be fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But if somebody spent like the Switch's price point on a foosball table in their basement, they better really like foosball.
Yeah.
So it's that sense of like if it's a dedicated device for one purpose of entertainment, and especially if the games that are drawing people are single player, it even loses that household like you know, the families who have a pool table or this or that. It's like here's something that brings our friends together when they come to visit. But if it's solely a self-indulgent activity that's worth 400 plus bucks, and you can only self-indulge for one or two titles, then it's like, is that
one cool?
Might as well get PSVR.
Yeah. One cool part I will add that I did kind of pique my interest again was you could pair them with 8 other docks. So somebody like everybody, your friends could come over with all of their Switches, and they can all play. Nintendo said one cartridge could factor in 8 people playing it, and it's up to the developer or the publisher to say, you know, does each person have to have a game cartridge, or can it work off one? So that might be a little bit murky, but if it was one game and you invite all your friends over that have Switches and you play Mario Kart or whatever, that might be kind of cool.
So if you're able to get, and I just quickly ran the math here for the fun of it, if you're able to get $3,200 worth of tech in your home, you and 7 of your friends could play some Mario Kart together.
Yeah. No,
All right. Yeah, that's a good feature.
Yeah.
It's a really good feature.
So it sounds equivalent to what 2 N64s with the 8 controllers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember those. I didn't buy the pro ones either. I bought cheap ones.
Oh, the worst ones. Yeah, the last guy gets the worst one by far.
Anybody that comes over to my house had got the worst ones, and then you're like, "Hey, you suck."
Yeah, that seems like the most ludicrous scenario. You and your 8 friends who all own Switches getting into the same room.
Well, it better take off, otherwise you won't get that.
Yeah.
Man, I remember
those selling points to me, a lot of them are very unique scenario, like not very commonplace scenario.
The ice cubes in the controllers? Come on. Did you watch the presentation where they put the ice cubes in the controllers and like you could feel the difference? Whoa, okay. It's like feedback on the Rumble. That's great. Awesome.
Get right on that. Oh, jeez. So I say let's a new dad take. I guess we'll have a 1 relatively positive and 2 wait and sees.
Yeah, for sure.
Good way to score that.
At least price drop.
Yeah, I would price drop / game selection. Perhaps it'll be curious to follow it up. Let's say for the Christmas season.
Yeah,
Next upcoming Christmas to see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
The two factors for me is the price has to go down and the library has to go up. Those are the two sort of components that would probably pique my interest. But it really also comes down to like how viable is it as a living room console? Because portable factor for me isn't a selling point because that's just not how I like to enjoy that medium. It's the same reason I don't have an e-reader. I kind of like the feel of paper on my fingers, so I read books.
When you do that, do you have like a corn cob pipe and you just
I do.
You call them books?
I call them books.
Books. book in my pipe and scotch and
learn time.
All right, gents, I think with that is a good place to end it off. I'm gonna call it
I'm gonna go
lukewarm reception to a Switch.
Yeah. I am hopeful because I do like Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really just want to wait and see. I'm not the hype train can chew along without me. I'll catch up later.
I just thought they would have done better because Nintendo did manage to bring us a switchblade to a knife fight, but now we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Wow.
Stretch.
That was
everybody. Thanks for joining us. Once again, this has been New Dad Gaming. This is a week. Thank you so much for listening. This is a weekly podcast. You can find us on any podcasting service. If you have any questions, thoughts, or would like to reach out to us, you can find us at our website, newdadgaming.com. Of course, we're also on Twitter and Facebook, and would love to hear from you. Spread it around to new dads who like gaming. And until that time, my name is Trevor. And I have a 1.5-year-old.
My name's Gavin. I have a 17-month-old.
I'm an embarrassed Jeff. I have a 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Well, I did it. I killed Gavin. Come on, that was sharp.
Dad joke to the max.
Still cranking him. Oh, that's going to be the title of the episode, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. You didn't lose your edge.